frustrated and feeling forgotten.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of people not getting counted.
Unemployment hitting hard.
At 52 years old, all of a sudden have to change my career is extremely hard.
So many of you sharing your struggles with us.
You don't know if it's going to get worse. You don't know if it's going to get better.
Looking for help and hope.
This is not going to last forever.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Vanessa Welch.
And I'm Mark Ackerman. We've heard your frustrations with the unemployment situation right now, and for the next 30 minutes, we are digging deeper to try to help.
From roadblocks to getting benefits to the daunting task of figuring out where your next paycheck might come from. We've got an in-depth look at this issue and resources to help see you through.
First, we want to show you the latest numbers. The most recent data we have right now shows 70,000 new unemployment claims were filed last week in Massachusetts. That brings the total to more than 722,000 workers filing new claims in the last 6 weeks. For some context, that's far worse than rates we saw back in the recession of 2008 and 2009.
Behind the staggering unemployment numbers are faces and families. A single mom from Lynn reached out to us. She lost her job at the end of March.
And she tells Boston 25 News anchor Carrie Kavanaugh she still can't file an unemployment claim because the state system won't let her in.
It's just hard because, you know, right now times are uncertain. And you don't know if it's going to get worse. You don't know if it's going to get better.
And so the pressure is on Michelle Cassio to keep her family afloat.
It's hard because, you know, I'm a single parent. It's not like, you know, I can have somebody else to help. It falls all on me.
The single mom from Lynn has 2 daughters, 3 and 5. And after more than 8 years, she suddenly lost her retail management job March 23rd amid a statewide shutdown.
No matter how much you have in savings, it's when you're not working and you're not bringing in that financial support and you have bills. And, you know, I have 2 kids. Kids are expensive.
Cassio peeled back the curtains into her life to help us better see the real-life struggles facing tens of thousands now in Massachusetts. She documented trips to the grocery store.
She does this about 3 times a week for a little bit more than an hour.
And homeschooling her kindergartner. All things she's juggling while trying to make ends meet.
How do you make sure your family has what they all need to get by?
So it's basically I'm living off of the savings. I'm supposed to, you know, save for a house. So it's basically draining me a lot financially, and it's very stressful.
Cassio has tried filing for unemployment.
They're saying that there was an old claim, but yet I've never filed for unemployment ever before.
5 weeks later.
I tried calling and I got disconnected. They would tell me they would send me a questionnaire for me to fill out, and otherwise, without filling that out, I wouldn't be getting any benefits. But yet they have never sent me that questionnaire.
Cassio says it actually could be worse. She says she's grateful for her savings, the federal stimulus check, and that at the moment she's staying with her aunt. She says for now, her most important job is sheltering her children from stress and fear.
And they just want to see me happy, and if I'm not happy, it's like it makes them sad. So I kind of just have to be really strong for them and just basically get by as much as I can until I go back to work. You just kind of have to make the best out of the worst situation.
So Michelle, like everybody else, doesn't know when she'll be back to work. So she's really hoping to get some assistance, especially after that stay-at-home advisory was extended. She says she's on the unemployment website every 2 to 3 days with no luck. For 25 Investigates, I'm Carrie Kavanaugh.
Since Carrie's report, the unemployment office has contacted Michelle. She is working with them now to get things squared away.
25 Investigates has also been looking at people who are out of work but are not counted in that soaring unemployment rate. Investigative reporter Ted Daniel has that missing part of the unemployment story.
It's been more than a month since Massachusetts essentially shut down because of the coronavirus. Experts predict the unemployment rate in the state will soon top 20%. 25 Investigates has been speaking with people who are still struggling to be counted and still struggling to get help.
So I don't have a job, I have no money coming in, single parent.
For weeks, 25 Investigates has been speaking with people like Sarah Marino of Foxborough. She says she's received one phone call from the Massachusetts Department of Unemployment Assistance, or DUA, since she was laid off 7 weeks ago.
I had actually asked the girl who finally called me, I said, is there anything that I did wrong or anything that you need from me to move this forward? And she said, no, we're just going to escalate it to see why it hadn't been approved.
That was 3 weeks ago, and she's still waiting to hear back. At some point, Sarah's claim should be processed, and she will be counted among the millions in the U.S. who are unemployed.
My name is Kim. I'm a hairstylist. I work in Beverly and Peabody.
There are others like Kim Zappala who worry they may never get help. Kim says her claim was denied when she filed for unemployment insurance last month.
Because I made $500 too little last year in order to collect to qualify.
So you didn't make enough money, that's what they're telling you.
Right, exactly. But it was also because I was out of work. I would have made it if I hadn't been out of work for my arm surgery.
Kim says she was out of work for 4 months last year after having her tendons reattached to her elbow. During that time, she had no income. According to DUA's unemployment guide, you must have earned at least $5,100 during the 4 calendar quarters prior to the quarter in which you file for unemployment insurance benefits. People who don't make enough for regular unemployment benefits may be eligible for federal pandemic unemployment assistance under the CARES Act. It's supposed to provide up to 39 weeks of compensation to people unable to get regular unemployment compensation. Several viewers tell 25 Investigates they are also being left out of that program. By email, Tara O'Laughlin from Worcester writes, neither system seems to be able to accommodate those of us that are both W-2 and self-employed. I had to close my business, yet don't qualify for assistance? This doesn't seem right.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of people not getting counted.
John Schwang is the co-founder and CEO of Boston-based Aquient, a company that specializes in staffing and workforce benefits. He says the makeup of the U.S. labor force has changed with the gig economy. More people are working multiple part-time jobs and are self-employed. He says the traditional method of measuring unemployment is not set up for people on the fringes of the workforce. And that's why many are finding themselves on the outs.
Because they're executing this through 50 state unemployment offices, those offices are totally overwhelmed with just normal applications. Governments are rushing to give aid to these folks, and the system and the structures aren't there.
I'm just afraid it's going to put us so far back that we're not going to be able to dig us out of it.
John Schwang says people need to be their own best advocate and stay persistent. Several new programs have been created, and if you find that you're ineligible for one, try to find another. One example is that people who are self-employed, they may be eligible for the Paycheck Protection Program. And finally, know that you're not alone. For more information about obtaining benefits, visit our website. For 25 Investigates, I'm Ted Daniel.
With so many people out of work, the job hunt can be daunting.
But hiring firms say there is a reason to be optimistic.
There's a lot of pent-up demand out there. Never has business just stopped the way it has.
Just ahead, a look where you can find work. Local experts tell us who's hiring right now.
And when you find a good opportunity, the way you market yourself will be much different in this new normal. The common mistake to avoid when you apply for work.
Welcome back to our in-depth special. With soaring unemployment, it may be hard to feel optimistic right now about the job hunt.
We hear from lots of viewers who are frustrated, discouraged, rightly so, but we spoke with leaders at major Boston area employment companies who tell us companies are hiring, and they gave us some leads on where to look.
We've never seen anything quite like this, no.
Certainly never seen anything like this before.
Leaders at hiring firms Robert Half and Monster Worldwide tell us, though unemployment is unprecedented, certain sectors are hiring. Tell us more about who is in the market right now to bring on employees.
Well, the technology industry is definitely one industry that's bringing on people. When you think about cybersecurity, when you think about the incredible demand as it relates to working from home, obviously shipping companies are very busy right now. Medical companies to some degree, life science companies.
You're seeing CVS, Amazon, Shipt, Instacart. Those are the types of companies that are local that are hiring. I've also seen a lot of jobs being posted in the hardware category as well.
Mortgage processors, loan processors, with interest rates being where they are.
Figuring out how your skills translate to essential fields right now can get you back on the job more quickly.
We've been working with the Massachusetts Senior Care Association, and this is really about getting elder care in place. So in fact, we've just posted jobs at Monster for about 1,200 individuals that are needed to really help the population of our society that's especially hard hit by COVID-19.
You talk about your ability to work remotely. Companies are onboarding people remotely right now, which is another whole dynamic.
This doesn't sound very good, but we're also seeing a lot of hiring in the unemployment category from a state unemployment perspective all throughout the U.S.
How do you reinvigorate a person to go out there now with such high unemployment and say, I'm your best candidate?
I think people need to be patient and perhaps a little bit optimistic. I'm optimistic. I do think we will get through this. I do think jobs will start to come back.
This is not going to last forever. We think there will be some pent-up demand. Massachusetts will come back, and there will be opportunities for many, many people.
And I think if we all think about that better place, I think the opportunities for employment will go along with it.
Another opportunity late in the week, the U.S. Postal Service announced they are hiring. Post offices across eastern Massachusetts have positions open in processing and delivery operations on all shifts. And you can check that out on the USPS website. And circling back to those hiring firms, they tell me one advantage of our situation currently is companies will be able to hire more employees who work from home right now. And that hopefully will help with work-life balance in the future.
As people begin to apply for those new jobs, they may find the process looks a lot different, especially if it's been years since you've looked for a job. Boston 25 Morning News anchor Jean Levanchi explains what you can do to be successful in your search in this new normal.
It's been tough. It's been tough.
Working in a kitchen is how Frank Dooley of Rochester has earned a living for 30 years.
I went to culinary, put all my schooling into cooking, and that's what I've made my career as. So at 52 years old, all of a sudden have to change my career, which is extremely hard.
It's a tough dilemma for millions of workers who might find their industry is decimated with few jobs to go back to.
The most important thing that they can do is take a very long look at their transferable skills, because there are many industries that are not going to come back quickly. And if they're in one of those industries, they need to take a look at what other industries they can use those same skills.
Elaine Varelis is a human resources consultant. She says job seekers, especially those who haven't had to look in a while, need to rethink their resume. It's no longer just a chronological history of work experience.
Current resumes have to show the value that they add. You need to show success. You need to show that you increased productivity.
Resumes also have to be written so they get past automated screening systems.
If your resume isn't formatted correctly, it will get kicked out of applicant tracking systems.
Technology plays a big role in getting that proverbial foot in the door today.
If you don't show yourself to be an individual who is competent and can easily navigate online platforms like social media platforms, then you don't have a shot.
David Gerzoff-Richard runs a PR firm that specializes in online branding. He suggests that a job hunter update their LinkedIn profile after they've identified a job or career that interests them.
Work backwards and start posting content that positions you as an expert who would be really good at filling a role in that career.
Varelis thinks that strategy can be reinforced with some networking.
Go to LinkedIn and see if you can find a connection to the organization listing those jobs. Particularly now, networking is going to be how people find their jobs.
As things like conventional face-to-face interviews get a tech makeover, Varelis says to ask for help if you need it.
If you are not technologically knowledgeable, now's the time to form a job search team. Get perhaps millennials to be able to help you.
Despite the glut of bad economic news over the past few weeks, Varelis says a fair number of companies are interviewing, hiring, and onboarding new employees online, even during the stay-at-home advisory. In the newsroom, Jean Levanchi, Boston 25 News.
When our Boston 25 News in-depth special on unemployment frustration continues, we are looking at local small businesses trying to bring employees back to work.
Business owners tell us what changes need to be made for their workers to start earning a paycheck again.
Welcome back to this in-depth special. You don't need to look any further than your own neighborhood to get a true look at the unemployment crisis.
As Boston 25 News reporter Natalie Rubino shows us, for one local company, the frustration is building as they try to get employees back working for the busiest time of the year, and they keep hitting roadblocks.
Winston Flowers planned to open only its industrial facility here in Boston to process online orders, but the city warned them not to, despite other florists running similar operations.
Every other florist is open right now, and they've been open ever since, delivering flowers.
It's true, several Boston florist shops are processing online orders and deliveries. But Winston Flowers says despite implementing several safety precautions, they can't even open their processing facility.
Hire a full-time nurse. We spent $10,000 to have the building cleaned and fumigated. We're going to have a cleaning crew all the time. We're going to space it out, give people PPE, have everybody 6 feet apart.
Ted Winston says he was excited to get his employees back to work, and his customers were even happier.
Hundreds of people saying we missed you, that florists should be considered critical because we have a lot of people who are down and flowers bring them up.
But the city put a stop to the popular florist's plans, and now Winston doesn't know if his business will survive.
It's just like, so, and I don't even know where we go at this point, because in order to take that chance, we've ordered a whole shipment of flowers.
Winston says this is their busiest time of year, and Mother's Day is often make or break for florists.
This is like the worst 8-week period that a florist could be closed for, because you're talking about florists missed Easter, Passover, Administrative Professionals Day, now Mother's Day.
The small business is only asking to be treated like other retailers.
If Saks Fifth Avenue is closed, you can still go to Saks online and buy things. You can buy anything in the world in Amazon. And it's almost like in this whole process, they're turning everything, they're trying to take all small businesses and move that business to Amazon.
I asked Governor Baker about flower shops at Thursday's press briefing. This was his response.
We'll have more to say about that one in plenty of time for Mother's Day.
Ted Winston says he is hopeful that the state will allow them to operate, but says he does need to know sooner rather than later so that they can plan for business. Reporting in Boston, Natalie Rubino, Boston 25 News.
Many businesses that cannot reopen are still applying to the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP, for loans after the first round of funding ran out. Now they're hopeful they can qualify for the second round that began in late April. Without it, many say it will be impossible to hire back their employees, especially when many are making the same amount of money from unemployment as they would in their old jobs.
It's not enough business for me to keep my staff employed currently. If I can get my staff back into the shop, that's the ideal situation.
She says she plans to reopen on Mother's Day weekend, but will have to do it all on her own. The government is encouraging business owners to keep applying for the PPP, even though the money is likely to run out again.
The company wants you on their team. You're all in, but you still can't start your job. The one thing that's on hold right now, standing between many people and a paycheck when this unemployment special returns.
Welcome back. The coronavirus pandemic is putting a freeze on some new job hires by delaying their criminal background checks and employment verifications.
Boston 25 News reporter Samantha Manning spoke to an attorney about alternatives employers can consider during the crisis.
Most court systems are either closed or have very restricted services right now, so that's playing a big role when it comes to completing criminal background checks for potential new hires.
While many industries are taking a big hit, some are still actively hiring. That includes retail, like our grocery stores, and the healthcare industry. For the employers, there are some challenges.
With the pandemic, there has been a delay in background screening and how quickly it can be completed.
Attorney Esther Slater McDonald says employers can try to do some of the screening themselves. They can ask employees to self-disclose, and depending on the position, an employer can hire the person tentatively before completing a screening. This doesn't apply to regulated jobs like childcare.
They could do what we call provisional hiring and say, okay, we'll bring you on, but your employment is contingent upon a successful background screening, and we may have to complete that down the road. Because of the pandemic.
There are also things you can do if you're the one applying for a job. Have your documents ready and referrals on hand, especially since contacting former bosses can be challenging if they are working remotely or if they've been laid off.
Having proof of your college degree, for instance, having a transcript, a diploma, having evidence of your employment history.
And courts are still carrying out essential functions like motions on bond orders and restraining orders. In Washington, Samantha Manning, Boston 25 News.
We hope the last 30 minutes have been helpful for you.
Remember, we have a ton of resources on the coronavirus outbreak and unemployment on our website, our app, and on our social media.
Thanks so much for joining us for this in-depth special focusing on the economy.
From all of us here at Boston 25 News, be well and have a great night.